رجعنا لحضراتكم مرة تانية مع فيجن ساركستيان، هو رئيس ديوان رئيس الجمهورية. بنكمل حديثنا. Do you believe, Your Excellency, that this is particular to the Erdogan mentality and party? Do you believe that could be change if there is change in Turkey? Do you see change in Turkey?
We are absolutely confident that the time will come when Turkey, Republic of Turkey, will have the government and the president who are ready to face the history and recognize the past. We think that that change in Turkey comes through a very advancing and a very dynamic civil society, and we see a huge change in the civil society of Turkey. We see a lot of young leaders and young generation representatives rising now to use the right words to refer to their own history. And we think this is a change which can, in a longer run, bring a change in Turkey. But it's our absolute belief that it stems from the interest of Turkey itself to recognize its history as it has developed. Because it's our belief as a nation with a very old history that without appreciating your history and also taking that history with all the dark pages that have existed there, you can never really move forward and be as progressive as Turkey and Erdogan claim he wants to see Turkey being.
He claims to be, he wants to be through a new Ottomanism and through a new ideology. Do you think this new Ottomanism is really a sign of weakness rather than strength? Sometimes going grand is a reflection of inner weakness.
I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of an ambition of a leader of a country which is doing very well economically, which has a growing young generation, which has, along with the dark pages of history, has some very interesting pages in the history which can be referred to. And I think that this is an ambitious vision for the advancement of the country, which I don't share. And it's normal because politicians very often disagree on the approach to things, on the way to deal with the things, etc. I myself think that the policy of neo-Ottomanism is starting with the title itself and all the way through the implementation, as we have been seeing it being implemented, at least vis-à-vis Armenia in the recent years. I think it doesn't lead Turkey in the good direction for Turkey and for the Turkish society.
I find that just the idea of having a new borders in Kurdistan is in itself a threat to Turkey itself, considering that there is a strong Kurdish community right there in Ain al-Arab, right there along your borders, and we have the formation of a de facto Kurdistan being there. Maybe it has not announced itself as a nation yet, but it's de facto on the ground. It doesn't seem like it's in the interest of Turkey to support such an idea. How do you view that?
Well, the general theoretic answer is that strategy and tactics not always coincide. You might have one strategic aim and have different tactical ways of achieving that. But it's a very theoretic answer. A more practical answer is that we absolutely recognize that the Kurdish factor is a very important factor in Turkish domestic and international politics, because it's a factor which cannot be overseen and it cannot be overestimated. Therefore, we fully understand why Turkish government and President Erdogan are so much involved and so much creative about exploring different ways of addressing that issue.
How was the 30th of June revolution received in Armenia? How do you view the correction of the path in Egypt?
Well, we have seen a very strong popular movement to address issues which concern the Egyptian society, and we highly appreciate that the times have been very difficult. They have been very dynamic and changing very rapidly. So we hope that with the elections which have taken place in Egypt after that, and with developments we have been witnessing after that, we can see a more sustainable situation and more peace and stability for the brotherly nation of Egypt.
The brotherly nation of Egypt has been criticized on many levels. It has been criticized in world media, it has been criticized by certain powers, and Egyptians sense that somehow it is unfair to put us under that criticism or under that pressure. What is your view of those dynamics?
I think that it's only natural that when things are developing, the history is developing, and there are active political processes. There are many sides who are not very happy with that, or who have their own vision over Egypt, where Egypt has to move, and therefore they give their expression and their views on what you are doing wrong. I think it's only up to Egyptian nation to assess how to reestablish the power and impact of your country in the region and beyond. Egypt has been playing a crucial role for a very long time to keep peace and security in the Middle East, and it has been a very important player in that regard. Armenia has always enjoyed a very special relationship, particularly through a huge Armenian community that lived in Egypt and who have been very proud citizens of the country. So we hope that this can be true again when we see a very assertive, very strong Egypt in that region, which can really take stance.
In that regard, as things are stabilizing in Egypt, as you are working on improving your relations with all neighboring countries and reconciling with the past and helping others reconcile with the past as well, still you have immensely been courageous as a nation, facing everything ever since you had your independence, and even before, for years and centuries, really. With your closed borders, you have had to cut your trees in order to keep warm at some point, and we come and see Armenia after 20 years. It's a fully developing, beautiful, heartwarming nation, and you feel that they are moving forward very strongly. What are the prospects of cooperation between the Arab world and Armenia at this stage, especially that you are still have issues to deal with, border issues, and we have our issues in the region as well?
Thank you for the very warm words about Armenia, and I think that the answer to that is just like Egyptian nation, we are ancient enough to watch history and our development perspectives in decades and centuries rather than months and weeks. And therefore, I think that it's only natural that the people has mobilized in a very difficult time to overcome those times, and immediately when the opportunity was ripe to start the political and economic processes which have helped us to overcome those most difficult years and the crisis we have lived through that you are referring to. I'm sure this helps us throughout the history to survive. I think that's something that helps now Egypt in a difficult time to overcome those difficulties. As far as the perspective of cooperation between Armenia and the country, Republic of Armenia, and the Arab world is concerned, I think that these perspectives are just brilliant because we have, as I told you, very warm feelings. We have a lot of economic interests coinciding. We have a very extensive now approach to working with individual Arab countries in the Gulf and beyond. And I think that already delivers certain results. We hope to see more of that. We see perspectives for bigger trade between our countries. We see perspectives for educational projects. We see good perspectives in IT sector. And we are exploring this very extensively. We have good intergovernmental commissions with a number of Arab states. We have good embassies and permanent staff working on these issues in the ministries of foreign affairs. So I think that we are moving in a very right direction that will be yielding more results in a very foreseeable perspective.
In a former interview, we were told that your entry into the Eurasian region could make it the bridge for Egyptian products to reach the East. By the same token, the Suez Canal could be your bridge to your products to Africa and to the rest of the world.
Absolutely, we do believe in that. We do believe that Armenia has a very good business environment. You know, it's ranked by international business agencies as the leading country in the post-Soviet space in terms of environment for doing business, corruption perceptions, etc. And transparency. And therefore, it's a very good starting point to deal with the countries of Eurasian Union.
Mentioning the railroad brings to mind automatically the Silk Road that has been announced by China. And the Silk Road originally used to pass by Armenia. Now the Silk Road is going through Kazakhstan all the way to Madrid. Is it going to connect somehow, somewhere through the Eurasian? How do you...
We very much hope so. Silk is known for its flexibility, so we hope that Silk Road...
This has to be the most diplomatic answer I have ever had.
I hope that Silk Road can be also very flexible, and it doesn't need to go in one direction only. We do think that Silk will allow to develop more trade, more interaction between nations, and that's exactly what's so beautiful behind that idea. We obviously see ourselves as part of that project.
You see yourself as part
Absolutely.
of the project. Throughout this interview, I've had a vision that is different than many other visions. This idea of cooperation, of integration, of economic activity, dynamics, for the sake of the survival of different nations, for the moving forward of nations as a counteract to the darkness of imperialism, to the darkness of selfish pursuit of its own interests. Which way the world is moving, frankly? And how can we really make it work towards this understanding, cooperation, peace, rather than imperialism, material gains, etc.?
We need to work on that. I don't think we would ever achieve either or. I don't think we will ever see a return of empires, and I don't think that we will see a full-fledged, open and uninterrupted cooperation. I think we will be seeing a lot of fight between these approaches for a long time ahead of us. And I think that that's part of the dynamic the world has seen ever since the international community has came into being. I mean, it's to a certain extent sad but natural. So I don't want to leave you with impressions that I am an idealist who thinks that in a year from now we'll be sitting here celebrating that the vision you are referring to has overcame all the other visions. But I don't think that we shall necessarily think win-lose. I think we shall all think win-win. And I think that that's exactly what the world is about. That's exactly what the younger generations see as perspective for their advancement. That's a key to the information society we are living in. That's a key to the very dynamic society where products can take e-form sometimes rather than material form. It's the reality of the world where intellectual property and the mind can cost much more than hardware.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this world. I mean, we are very critical about what we haven't achieved since World War I as an international community. But we shall be very proud of what we have had achieved since World War I and since the dynamic stage of developing of global international society worldwide. So it's we should have enough optimism to help us go ahead and sufficient pessimism to keep us away from idealistic steps that can ruin everything. So we shall be really balancing on what is the interest of the human society, what are the threats, what are the challenges, and unfortunately the threats and challenges are today much bigger than they used to be. But it may be that that's because we know more of them than our ancestors used to know.
The gas route has been quite important and instrumental. And lately, you kindly explained to me some of the things that are not very clear to my mind. There has been a ratification of agreement for a gas pipeline between Russia and Turkey. What does that mean? What are its implications? How do we understand that route? That was not clear to my mind earlier on.
I don't think there was ratification. I think there was announcement of an intent to redirect one of the gas routes from Russia towards Europe. And I think it has been linked, as was explained by President of Russia, to the current situation between Russia and the European Union and certain countries of the European Union. And I think this is part of the changing reality around us. I do think that it will still take time to fully realize what this new route would mean for Armenia and for other countries in this region, but also in a wider sense for Europe and for Russia and for their relationship.
You've had a long history with the Russian Empire, then the Soviet Union, and now today with new Russia. How do you qualify your relationships with Russia?
The history of our relations with Russia has been extremely positive. We have lived in a very difficult region, as you have mentioned, being deprived of statehood between three major empires: Russian Empire, Ottoman Empire, and Persian Empire. And in this context, history has developed in a way where Armenia's relations with Russian Empire was the most positive in that particular neighborhood. We have developed a long tradition of fighting together on the same side of barricades. We have had a lot of Armenian heroes in Russian armies at the time of the Russian Empire and in the Soviet Union. And we had a long history of doing business, trade together. We have had a long history of scientific, cultural ties. One of the first major institutes of foreign relations in Russia, the Institute of Oriental Studies, has been established by Armenians, Lazarevs in Moscow. We have had very positive relations throughout the Soviet period as well, because Armenia, as part of the Soviet Union, was the only remaining part of the Armenian statehood after the genocide and after what happened in Ottoman Empire. And obviously the relationship we had and the situation we had allowed us to mobilize here in the new Republic of Armenia by three waves of repatriation of Armenians from around the world, including Armenians from Egypt, Armenians from different countries of Middle East, of West Europe, and this has brought a lot of multiculturalism to Armenia. In those years, we have developed a strong infrastructure of scientific institutions, cultural centers, schools, roads, electricity grids, etc., etc., and it has helped us to prepare for independence when the time came and when Armenia declared its independence in 1991. Since then, we also have had very positive relations. We have never watched, Armenian society has never watched Russia as a threat to its identity or its development and advancement, vice versa. The history has very often put us in a situation where our ties with Russia were the only safeguard of security and independence of Armenia. Even now, with the Russian military base and the Russian border guards serving as a border with Turkey, is part of our security arrangement. As you know, we have a common security organization which is called Organization of Security and Collective Security Treaty Organization. We have a lot of Russian investments in Armenia now, and Russia is the biggest foreign direct investor in Armenian economy. Now we see a growing level of Russian tourists coming here, so we have a lot of cultural ties again. And very often I tell my European colleagues, if you think that small, newly independent countries need to be protected from big former empire neighbors, in our case it's not Russia, it's Turkey, which also has been an empire sitting by our border, and which, as opposite to Russia, has declared its neo-Ottoman visions and expectations. So if you want to protect us from someone, Yeah, I mean, not from Russia. With Russia, we're very good.
And with the European community, you had the EU-Armenia Association Agreement and a free trade area. And yet, in July 2003, when you led the Russian-led customs union with Russia, Belarus, and one other country, I'm not sure if it's Georgia, the European Union seemed to say that it was up to you Armenians to send clear signals, and to use the right word, they said send clear signals regarding the content and legal basis for Armenian-European relations.
We didn't have free trade agreement or association agreement with EU. We had negotiations on those agreements, and in long preparatory time of those agreements, we have always been reassured that this is in no way going at the account of our relations with Russia or any of our other traditional partners. When there was an opportunity given to also consider joining the Eurasian Economic Union, we measured all the interests of the Republic of Armenia in terms of economic impacts, and decided that joining the Eurasian Economic Union better serves our economic interests. And there have been a lot of calculations put behind it, which I don't want to repeat now, but overall measurement was that it benefits us more. So we have taken that decision, and at the same time we have declared very openly in the Vilnius summit of the European Union last year that we are deeply interested in continuing what we call a very deep and very qualitative contact with the European Union. A couple of days ago there has been a EU-Armenia coordination committee meeting in Brussels. We continue to work with Brussels on finding the exact form of continuing this dialogue. And for us it's a very important dialogue because many of the reforms we have implemented in this country are very much rooted on the best practices of the EU member states. And we want to continue to benefit from that because we see a lot of economic advantage in doing that. We don't think that it shall be either or, again, as we started our conversation. We think it can perfectly match each other, of course taking into consideration the existing legislative limitations within Eurasian Union, which is an organization to which we are a full-fledged member since accession.
Mr. Vegan Sarkisyan, I thank you so much for this interview, and please use the opportunity to talk to the Arab nations through Ala al-Hawa. If you have a message to tell the Arab people, the Egyptian people, it's there for you now.
With a great pleasure. I would like just to say that people of Armenia are deeply concerned with developments in the Middle East and in many countries around us. So we very much hope that there can be peace and prosperity for our Arab brothers and sisters, and that 2015 can be a much more peaceful year than the years that is passing now. I would like just to say that you have big friends here, people who very well understand your culture, your history, your tradition, and who want more cooperation, who want to see more presence and more involvement of the Arab world in the advancement of Armenian economy, of Armenian country, and of Armenian politics internationally.
Mr. Vegan Sarkisyan, رئيس ديوان رئاسة الجمهورية بأرمينيا, I thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you. كلام مهم قوي اتقال في هذا اللقاء، كلام فيه ملامح كبيرة قوي للرؤية المستقبلية، سواء كانت لدول القوقاز، سواء كانت لأرمينيا، سواء كانت للمنطقة ككل. نقرأ ما بين السطور، نفهم ونحدد خطوينا بعد كده. خطوينا احنا اللي بنختارها واحنا اللي بنمشي فيها. بشكركم انتوا كمان على متابعتكم لينا على الهواء. من داخل قصر رئاسة الجمهورية بأرمينيا كان في مشهد مش ممكن كنا نفوته. طلبة المدارس بيجوا هنا داخل القصر في رحلات منظمة علشان يتعرفوا على القصر وعلشان يشوفوا هدايا رئاسة الجمهورية، الهدايا اللي بتهدى رسميا لدولة أرمينيا لأنها جزء من فخرهم. ومن هنا لازم أسأل الشباب ده عن انطباعه. I have to ask you, you both speak English, so I'm quite glad to have met you. And you tell me, what are your impressions when you come here and come to the presidency? What is the message that you come out with?
I will tell that it's very interesting in here, and I'm proud that we have the president like Sargon, and we see a lot of things here, and we learn a lot of things here. I guess that's it. We're proud that we have a president like Sargon, and we learn a lot of things that we come here, and it's very interesting. I guess that's it.
هو اللي بيقول لي انه هو في منتهى الفخر بانه يجي هنا ويدخل رئاسة الجمهورية وانه يتعلم حاجات جديدة وانه فخور برئيس الجمهورية الارمان ليه، وهذا اهم شيء او هو ده تحديدا اللي هو حسه دلوقتي. Tell me, what have you learned here?
I'm so excited to be here because it's so interesting, and I learned that our president is working hard he's a hard worker to become a good president for us. And I'm so happy that our president is Sargon, and he is very good president for us. I'm so proud to be here.
هي فخورة بأنها هنا، فخورة برئيسها، فخورة أنه بيشتغل ليل ونهار علشان يحقق حاجات كتير للبلد وعلشانهم، وهي دي أكتر حاجة بتسعدها. When you see all those gifts given to your nation, how do you feel as Armenian young people?
I was excited because I'm happy to see that our country is no many countries, other countries, and we are popular for others, and it's so interesting for us, all us.
بتقول قد ايه هي بالنسبه لها انها تشوف الهدايا اللي جايه من الدول الاخرى دي، معناها ان الدول الاخرى معترفه بيهم وحباهم ومتواصله معاهم ومقدراهم كشعوب، وان ده بالنسبه لهم شيء رائع جدا. I am from Egypt and I am from Egyptian television, and my show على الهوا, it's called On Air. It broadcasts to all of the Middle East. What would you like to say to young people in the Middle East from here?
I'll say hi to all the Middle East, and I'm proud to be Armenian because I am from Middle East, and I don't know what else to say. I'm proud to be Armenian.
هو بيرحب بكل الشرق الأوسط وبيقول لهم بيبعت السلام وبيقول إن هم جزء من الشرق الأوسط، وبيقول كمان إن هو فخور جدا بأرمنيته. You're here in the presidency in this very, very national pride feeling in this place. What is your ambition? Would you see yourself here one day, working here one day, or you have other ambitions?
I have another ambitions because I would like to work with people. Like, and here there are politicians. Politicians. They are working like so hard. I would like to be a doctor, but not here. Like, it's so hard for me.
اوكي. وسالته لو المكان ده بيديله طموح في انه يعمل في العمل السياسي، انه هو لما يكبر يبقى موجود فيه في يوم من الايام. قال لي الحقيقه ان الساسه بيعملوا في ظروف قاسيه جدا وبيعملوا كتير جدا. انا املي في الحياه اني اشتغل مع الناس، ولذلك اريد ان اكون طبيبا.
فيفا ارمينيا، فيفا ايجيبت على الهوا.